Hey guys, this is Carrie, and in this video we're going to be making a Pokedex, kind of like this one, with a whole bunch of Pokemon on it. And if you're not really that into Pokemon, sorry, but Pokemon are a great opportunity for us to practice our for each loops because there's so many of them. But also, if you're not into Pokemon, you can imagine that instead of loading up Pokemon, this is practice for creating a website where maybe you're selling a lot of items and you're going to load up all of the items from a list that you'd be selling. So these would be like pictures of maybe sneakers or stuff like that instead of Pokemon. But I think it's best that we all work with Pokemon in this project because with 151 of them from the first edition, we're going to really see the power of a for each loop. So let's hop right into it. So you are going to have some starter code in this one. For the HTML file, all I did was delete the starter code. For the CSS one, all I did was delete the starter code. And in the script.js, I wrote out a list of all of the Pokemon because I figured that that would be pretty annoying for everybody to do. So here we go. The only HTML that we're going to write in this project is we're going to make a container that contains our entire Pokedex. So what that container is going to be is it's going to be a div with a class of content. So I'm using the emit shortcut. But before I press tab, I'm actually also going to give it the ID, which we use hashtag in the emit shortcut for, an ID of content as well. And that's going to allow me to select it in the JavaScript file. So now when I press tab, I have a div with a class of content and an ID of content. And I'm not going to put anything inside of that because what we're going to do that's brand new for us is we're going to dynamically load from the JavaScript file every item from this list and all of the pictures of these Pokemon into this div. And that way we don't have to write anything out. And I think that will be awesome. For style, I think I have to finish with style this time because unfortunately, my Pokedex is empty. I can't style it without the Pokemon there. So we're going to go over to the JavaScript first to make it so that the Pokemon appear and then style it. So first things first, in addition to the Pokemon, I'm going to need that content element. Let me just put that at the bottom here. Sorry, I don't know why I'm pressing enter up there. Let's content equal, and since I'm just selecting one thing, I'm going to use document dot get element by ID, since we gave that element the ID of content. And my computer is lagging out majorly. I'm sorry about that. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to this Pokemon list, and I'm using Pokemon to refer to the whole group of them. So, Pokemon, that would be funny. Pokemon, like that would just be a funny pluralization. Pokemon is the whole group. So I'm going to say for each of these guys, take, and now here's that weird thing with the double parentheses, take each monster. So monster is one set of parentheses. And then we're going to take that monster, and we're going to do, with the arrow function, this whole group of code. Now I'm just going to start off by going through and doing a console.log for each monster. So what this will do is it's saying, take the Pokemon list, and for each one of these, I can't call each one a Pokemon since I'm using Pokemon to refer to the whole group, so I decided to call each one monster. And then the thing we're going to do is we're just going to do a console.log monster. So if I go over here and I open up my JavaScript console, oh, zoomed in. I should get a whole bunch of Pokemon in the console. Sick. All right, so that's pretty powerful. It's already logging all of their names. But usually when we go to a website, instead of logging their names in the console, we really want to work with content actually on the web page. So let's make some content on the web page. So to make the content on the web page, what I'm thinking is we could do something new, which is we could use JavaScript to create elements inside of the HTML. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to leave the console.log each monster for a minute. We're going to use JavaScript to make new HTML elements. And when we think about a new HTML element, we're going to think about something like, I don't know, like a paragraph, and then it's going to have some text inside, and then we'll have the closing tag. Okay, cool. So in order to do this, I have to think about, like, what do I want the setup for each Pokemon to be? And I'm kind of imagining it a little bit like this website, but maybe a simpler version for now. Although we can add in the types and stuff like that. So the simpler version I'm imagining is maybe it will have the Pokemon with its name. I actually think I'd like the name on top and then the picture. So I guess the way I'm imagining it is if I were to write this in HTML, it would be like a div. And then inside of the div, it would be like a h3 with like the Pokemon's name. So I'll just choose like Pikachu. And then before I close the div, I would want to put like the image with like a picture of Pikachu as the source. And then I'd want to close the div. So usually we'd have to type out all of this HTML for each Pokemon. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use the JavaScript to make it. So I'm going to delete this one because I don't think I need this one as a reference. I'll leave it because I might use it as a reference example. All right, so first I want to make a div. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say let new div equal document dot create. And you can see it right here. What we're going to be creating is an element. And I have to put the type of the element. First, I'm going to start by creating the div. So that's going to make the start and closing tags of a div because I'm going to the document and I'm creating a brand new element. And I could put any type there. In fact, next up, I'm going to make let new h3 equal, go to the document, and let's make an h3. I want the text of the h3. So I'm going to say take the new h3. And remember, we call the text inside of it, like this text or this text here. We call that the inner HTML. So I'm going to say we just made an h3. And I'm going to say make the inner HTML of that, the text inside of it that's going to appear on our webpage, equal to, well, I want it to be equal to whichever monster I'm currently up to. So take the new h3 and make the inner HTML of that equal to, whatever monster I'm currently up to is just monster. It's going to be the thing that I logged before, this long list. I want it to be one of those. So make it equal to the current monster. All right, so I'm going to come back and do the image later. But I think right now we've already got something that's pretty powerful. So here's what I have to do now in order to take these new elements that I created and actually put them on the web page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, take the new div, which is going to be this div here. And when we have elements inside of the div, like the h3 or the image, these are called the children of the div element. So I'm going to say take the new div, and we're going to append that favorite word from our list. Not just append though, we're going to append child. And the thing that I want to put inside of this new div is the new h3. So what's going to happen now is it's going to take the new h3 like this, and it's going to make it a child of the new div, which means to put it inside of the div tags. And then finally, in order to put the div on the web page, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say take the content, which is this div, and I want to put all of my Pokemon divs inside of this. So I'm going to say take the content div, and since all of our new divs are going to be inside of that, I would like to make them children. of the content div. So what this will look like is now new div, it will be inside of content, and the new h3 is inside of new div. And since we're doing this for all of our monsters, we're going to make a lot of new divs, 151 of them. And we're going to put each of them inside of the content. Let's see how this looks. All right, so there it is. We've got our Pokemon all listed out on the page. We no longer need our console, so I'm going to get rid of that. That's pretty cool. But it would look even cooler maybe if instead of just having these H3s on the page, we also had an image for each of them. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the same idea, which is up here, before we start to append, put this information inside of other divs, I'm also going to make an image element that I'm going to put inside of the div. So I'm going to say let new img equal, go to the document, and create a new element. This time it's going to be a image element. And the source of that image, so we can take the new image, dot source, which means go to that new image, and make the source equal to. So I found this website earlier that has pictures of all of the Pokemon. So I've got this source right here. Mr. Mime I just clicked because this one I'm a little bit worried about. It doesn't have the space between Mr. and Mime. But in general, if I look at kind of any Pokemon, let me go to, I don't know why I'm actually scrolling through this. Where's Pikachu at? No, that's Psyduck. Whatever, Psyduck, you're cool. So I'm going to click Psyduck, and I'm going to open Image in New Tab. It looks like basically these are the exact same links, except it just changes the Pokemon's name. So here's how we're going to work with that. I'm going to say, make the new image source equal to this. Oh, crap, I need quotes. But since I don't always want Psyduck to be here, I want it to be whichever monster I'm currently up to. I'm going to do this to end that part, plus, let me get rid of this so that you can actually see the whole string here. This, and then this. So what that will do is it'll allow me to plug in whatever Pokemon name in this location, and then it should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do monster, which will be from this list, whatever monster we're currently up to. And I'm a bit worried about the uppercase here, so I'm going to take whatever monster we're currently up to and make it 2 lowercase parentheses. So we're going to make a new image element, and then we're going to set the image source to, from that website. This part doesn't change Pokemon by Pokemon. Then we put the Pokemon name here, and then we do .avif. So here it was for Psyduck with Psyduck's name plugged in. But since we're doing this for each, it will go through and plug in each of them. Now, last steps, we have to put this new image inside of the new div. So let me think about where I want it. I want that new image to be after the H3 element. So I'm going to say go to the new div, and let's append another element inside of it, another child element. And this is going to be the new image. So basically, create a new div, the divs, take the new H3 and put it inside of the div. That's called append child. It's now a child of that element. Also, take the new image and put that inside of the new div. And that will close the div now because those are the only things inside of it. And then we're going to take that new div and we're going to put it inside of the content div that we selected up here. So now we should actually have pictures of all of our Pokemon. Okay, sick. So let's see. All of them look like they're working well. Nidoran is not. All right, so I have to investigate Nidoran. Open image in new tab. So Nidorans get Nidoran-F and Nidoran-M. Okay. Nidoran. And I think Mr. Mime is also going to have a problem. Oh, Farfetch'd has a problem too. Okay, a couple of these have problems that we'll have to fix case by case. So I guess what I'm going to do is I need to see this a little bit better, my Pokedex, so I'm going to start to add some styles. I think the main styles that I want to add is I want the images to be kind of having a fixed width of like maybe 100 pixels. Let's see if that makes things a little bit easier to read. Okay, so now the images are a little bit tinier. I'm thinking also I don't want them to be all lined up like this. I'd like things to be like a grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say take the content div, and I'm going to make the display of that a grid. And then I'm going to make the grid template columns, GTC, grid template columns, repeats, and I'm going to put 10 Pokemon per line. So 10 lines that are each 100 pixels long. So now I've got this grid, and I can kind of see which Pokemon are giving me trouble. And I could go through and fix those. It's a little bit hard to tell. It's the Pokemon below. So Mr. Mime, Farfetch'd, Nidoran, and Nidoran. Okay, so probably the easiest way to fix these is just to change their names to match. There are other ways to do it. It looks like the names for them to match would be, in my Pokemon list, I should be making this Nidoran -M. This one, Nidoran -F. Mr. Mime needs a dash. Farfetch'd is here. What does Farfetch'd need to work? Okay, I'm going to get rid of his apostrophe. And Mr. Mime, where are you? Oops. Ah, there we go. Mr. Mime is here, so I'm going to delete the space and put a dash there. And now I think all the images should work. Great. So there's a lot more that can be done with the styling here. But I think this is a pretty powerful example of how we've dynamically created a huge amount of HTML element using just the JavaScript list. So I hope you guys found this video interesting. And I hope this idea of creating new HTML elements within the JavaScript is actually a powerful idea that you'll find use for in the future. Bye, guys.